my daughter's developed this fixation for all things steampunk. So she needs a new desk, so we're going to build a steampunk type desk. So I've got hold of some wood, which is from an old church that's being renovated. So these are the floorboards. So I'm going to use these as the sort of working surface of the desk, and then we're going to make the frame, hopefully, out of plumber's copper piping. That's the plan. I've got pretty limited DIY skills. I'm no expert, so hopefully this is something that anybody can do, even if they're not that skilled in DIY type stuff. So first things first, we've got to cut the wood to the length that we need. I'm probably going to work on about 1 metre, I think, as being the sort of length of the desk. And then we're going to need probably 3 or 4 widths of wood to get the depth of the desk. First thing then, end of the wood is not straight, so the first job is to get myself a nice straight edge to work from. So we're going to just trim this down a little bit. Just trim that end off, it's a bit shabby as well, that end. So we'll just mark it where we're going to cut. Ideally I'll be cutting this with my sliding chop saw, mitre saw type thing. But we've just moved to Guernsey from Norfolk, and unfortunately that had to be left behind due to the fact I haven't got a garage here to keep the tools in, and also just the space that we had in the move. So instead I'm going to just use my wee little saw, mini circular saw. It barely cuts deep enough to do this. I'm not even sure it's going to go right the way through, but we'll see how we get on. And nope. So we'll finish it off with a handsaw. It's a big old hefty chunk of wood. Probably could have made my life a bit easier by trimming it down first. I'll just get a square edge. There we go. Okay, so let's give me a square edge to start with at least, hopefully. Yeah, that's better. One of the joys of the steampunk style is it doesn't really have to be that neat, fortunately, because I'm not that good. Right. Now the trick is not to cut through your cable, because that would generally be a bad thing. There's a few nails left in this bit, which we don't really want. We'll try and get some of those out if we can. Oh, that came out very easily. So that's the basis of the actual writing part of the desk. Not too fussed if the ends are exactly right at the minute. That's all going to be smoothed off later. And we're going to glue it, and I'm also going to make a batten underneath just to give it some strength to hold all those bits together. Right, we'll just sort out those rough bits. So these are going to be underneath, I'm not too worried about that, they're a bit shabby. Flavour. This is going to be the facing edge of the desk, so I want to get rid of this tongue. You can either plane this off, chisel it off, saw it off, whatever you want to do. I'm going to just use my electric planer to take it off. ran across the edge with my plane. I was going to do it with my router, but it appears that that's not come with us over here. So just to take the sharpness off of the edge there, I've just gone over that. What we're going to do next is I want to get like a burnt finish on it in order to make it look nice and steampunky. So that's the next job. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a go over with some 60 grit just to get it a little bit smoother before we start. Give this a really good burn. This should be nice and deep. The whole thing is black. You can do it lightly, so that you just bring out. So basically, just burning the more prominent bits of the grain. If you wish to, but then when you sand it, those will come off, and you end up with a clear piece of wood again. So if you burn it deeper, right down into the grain, and when I sand it, the troughs will come out black and the peaks will be light. Well, that's the black. You're looking for it going to a nice silvery colour like this. You see? I'll show you in a bit. That's the problem. That's that piece done. You can see that kind of slightly silvery finish that I was talking about. That's when you've got it burnt down to a good depth. It'll just start to go a bit silvery like that. So we're going to sand that off now with a bit of 80 grit, and then we'll do some 180 just to get it finally smooth. It will catch fire a bit when you're doing this, but don't worry about that. It goes out itself. It's not a drama. It shows that you're getting enough heat into it. See now that the grain is starting to come out, because it's a pretty rough bit of wood. It just come out quite patchy because it's not completely smooth, but I don't mind that too much, to be honest. It kind of adds to the effect. So we're going to do the 180 grit now. There we go. I'll get cracking with the other how many pieces of wood I've got, and we'll see how it looks once I've finished. That's the burning all done and dusted, so what we're going to do now is fix the sort of surface together. And as this is tongued and grooved floorboarding, I'm going to utilise the tongued and grooves just to add a bit of extra strength to it. So I'm just going to tidy up the grooves a wee bit. It's a bit grubby. This will stop it from sticking together properly. On the edge here, just like crack coming out. This one's not too bad actually. I've already done 2 of these, and the 2 will work. You'll see what this is all about shortly. Okay, just going to lay a bead of glue along the groove. This. So the next bit is to build the frame up, and what we're going to use for that is copper pipe, because that's very kind of steampunky. So just using standard fittings, I've cut these already to length. Top piece, we've got a T. And the idea is that the writing surface will go between here. This will be bolted down, this will support it underneath. So that's going to be the side piece, if you will. That goes across like that, fits to the other side. So a bit of bracing. Maybe the back piece. Yeah, two back pieces with a bracing piece. Yeah. Do the job, shouldn't it? Yeah. Then this is going to go up to the shelf unit, which will be up a little bit higher, sort of up here somewhere. I'm going to drill a hole through the base to do that. Right. So you can see the side piece will go something like that. Something like that. Yeah. Like so. So using my trusty felt tip pen, work out the length of this piece. So it doesn't need to be precise. Slowly. So to cut the pipe to length, I've made my mark on there with the trusty felt tip pen. I'm using one of these, pipe cutter, about 20 quid. Simplicity itself to use. It's got a little line on there which lines up with the cutting blade, which is inside there. So you just line that up with your mark, like so. And it's got a little arrow on the end telling you which way to turn it. Turn, turn, turn. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And it also leaves you with a slightly tapered end, which makes it easier to put your end pieces on. Normally they would be soldered for plumbing because it needs to be watertight. We don't need it watertight, so I'm just going to put a wee dab of glue on there and that should sort it out. Well, we've got the basics of the frame sorted out. Obviously not very straight at the minute because it's not fully braced with the actual writing surface. But yeah, that's fundamentally the frame. We're on to the varnishing part now. So as you can see, I've already done a couple of layers. That's because my wife wanted to have a go at doing the varnishing, but didn't want to appear on the video. Strange lady, as she's so beautiful. So I'm just going to put on the third layer. I just need to use a bit of medium grade wire wool now. I'm just going to go over this lightly, just to key it up a wee bit. There we go. And the other thing that I've done is I've just sanded the edges off to make them nice and smooth. So don't worry if you're not accurate on doing your board lengths. You can just use a plane to take off a big chunk or sand it and get it nice and level on the ends. It's not a drama at all. Just brush off the bits of wire wool and any dust. And then the varnish that I'm using is just a standard quick drying varnish, and we've gone for a natural oak colour, which is giving it a really beautiful deep kind of lustre, really bringing out the grain. And yeah, I'm really liking the effect of that. So rub this on, thin coats, not too thick. And the trick with, I've found with these things, same with painting, know when to stop. Don't worry about the brush marks, it'll find its own level. And then once this is finished and dried thoroughly, I'll be going over it anyway with a medium steel wool and then a fine steel wool for the final finish. And that'll take out any slight imperfections in the varnish, going with the grain like that, so we don't get cross lines. It'll look nice and natural. I'll stop at that point. This is that side. Because if you carry on too long, you start to do it when it's dry, and then you will get more in the way of lines and so on in it. In the meantime, you hope that you don't get some seagull flying over and shitting on your work, because that would be annoying. And I'd give it a good day or two before you do your final sanding down with the wire wool. There we go. Well, that's the table finished in its place. So how about we take a little look round and just have a look at some of the things that I've put on there, which might be tips if you want to try and do something similar yourself. One of the most noticeable things is probably the chain, and that was put in to offer up some lateral stability so the table doesn't wobble from side to side. And that's just a chain and some turnbuckles, which you can see just there, which helps tighten the chain up. And you can see that to join it to the chain, I've used these sort of chain links. I could have done it by putting another horizontal bar like this one, but at the top. But I just decided the chains looked a bit more kind of steampunky, so that's why we went for those. Okay, we've got the top piece here and the shelving unit. Now, again, I could have done it putting a T-piece in here, could have split that bar, put a T-piece in and have that going onto there, but I just kind of figured that I'd go with something a little bit different and have it so that they're just slightly angled and they just come down inside of the copper there. Okay, same on the other side. Now, to do these, I was using up leftover bits of copper pipe and they were just slightly too short. So what I did at the bottom was I packed something like that, which is just an offcut off a piece of piping, and dropped it into here just to lift it slightly to give it the height that was required. And that's quite a useful little tip if, for example, you've got a bit of a horror moment, your legs are not all the same length, you've cut one slightly too short or one slightly too long, you can use those packs inside the joints here or at the bottom to just pack things out and move the whole thing down a little bit. Steampunky light, we bought that online actually, that's not my own work, I'm afraid to say. So there we are. Overall, I'm kind of pretty happy with that, to be honest. It looks alright, I think. So I hope that's given you some ideas. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.